Hey everyone, welcome to Learn DAX channel. My name is Desh, and in the previous video, we had gone a few months back in time in order to get the sales for that particular month. So for example, in the current selection, the year comma month is December 2021, and I want to go back 3 months in time and get the sales 3 months back in time, which in this case would be September. So if I take a look at this output, it shows 80.38 million as sales, which I can verify using this table here, which kind of filters the sales for each corresponding month. So the sales for the month of September 2021 were 80.38 million. So I can just verify this. I will leave the link in the description where I've explained a detailed walkthrough of how to get to the solution. Now, what if the user wants to see a table where he gets accumulated sum of the sales that have happened across 2020 and 2021, which means that for the month of Jan 2020, I'm seeing the sales as 23.13 million. For Feb, I'm seeing it as 21.41 million. But what I want to see here is for the month of Jan, I want to see 23.13. But for Feb, I want to see 23.13 plus 21.41, which is 44.54. For the month of March, I want to see this plus 24.74. So basically, I want to see an accumulated sum of the sales that have happened across my sales year. So how would I achieve that? So that's something that we're going to look into in this video. And this is a very simple problem, and we're going to break it down and solve and see how DAX can help us in doing the same. So before I hop on to the solution, I just want to explain this concept as to how the iterations will work in DAX. So I've created this Excel sheet in which I've just created the same data that I have for July, August, September, and October, and I'm just going to break down how the iterations are going to work. So for the first iteration, I want to go to the month of July and get that data, which happens to be 103.68 million. In the second iteration, I want the function to iterate such that it goes from 1st July till 1st August, accumulates the sum total for these two values, and then gives me the output. In the third iteration, what I want is that the function iterates over the dates from July to August, September, and then accumulates the sales amount for these respective months and then gives me the output. So let's see how that's going to work in DAX. Now I go back to Power BI and I create this new measure and I call it cumulative, or I'll just call it sales cumulative. Now that will be calculate sales amount, and I will use the filter function in here because we are going to filter the dates. So I'll use the date table on which we are going to apply the filter. So I want that the date has to be less than or equal to the maximum date in my current context. So I will mention date, year, comma month is less than or equal to date, year, comma month. And I will just close this and hit enter. I have to remove this forward slash or backward slash, and then I should get to my solution. Or let me change this to specific column to display the values in millions. And so my solution is giving me 23.13 and 21.41, which is not quite what I'm looking for. So what's the issue here? Well, the issue here is the fact that this particular filter function in this line, it's not negating the inherent filter context introduced by date column in this particular table. Now, if I want to negate the inherent filter context of the date column, I need to use something called as the all function. So if I wrap this in an all function, I should get the correct output. But again, there's one issue in here. What I'm seeing here is that instead of giving me the cumulative sum, it is showing me the complete sum for all the rows instead of giving me the rolling sum for the respective rows. So let's go back to the formula and check what went wrong in this case. So what it's doing is I'm not giving it any context as to date year month is less than date year month. I'm not giving it any context as to what should it compare it with what. So in order to clarify to DAX where you should stop your iterations, because now it's just going through all the rows and then giving me the output. I want to restrict its iteration to give me the max value. Now, it might occur to you that the max would correspond to the max value, which is supposed to be December 2021, but that's not true. When I use this filter function, it's an iterative function. So it's going to go to my first row, and the max value in the first row is going to be Jan 2020. In the second iteration, the max value of that current row is going to be Feb 2020. And in the third row, it's going to be March 2020. And this is going to make the difference. And so if I go back and hit enter, I should see the correct values. Now, if this is still confusing, I'm going to take this formula and I'm going to explain this in Excel. So if I go back to sales cumulative and mention this, why have we used max? I'll quickly go back to Excel. So in my first iteration, the date was 1st July 2021. Correct. In my second iteration, and that was also the max date. In my second iteration, my max date was supposed to be 1st of August 2021. Correct. And this happens to be by max date. And now the condition that we have used here says that this date year month should be less than equal to max of date year month. So if I pull this here, this condition, let me just change its formatting so it kind of blends into all the other values that we have used, or it's not quite blending in yet. Let me open Notepad, paste it here, and then copy and then paste it in my Excel sheet. Still doesn't work. Let me try again. Yeah, this time it worked. So I'll just delete this. Let me paste it in here itself. Yeah, now it looks much better. So what this condition says is, if my max of date year month is August 2021, then I want the iterations to give me all the dates that have happened before this particular date, which is August 2021. And in my third iteration, the max date is 1st September 2021. So again, this condition, date year month is less than equal to max of date year month, is going to give me all the dates corresponding to this condition, which satisfy this condition, which happens to be July, August, and September. Again, if I go to the fourth iteration, the max date is 1st of October 2021, and it is supposed to, this particular condition, that date of year month should be less than or equal to max of date year month. In order to satisfy this condition, DAX is going to give all the dates and only stop at 1st October 2021. So what's happening in Power BI is that when it comes to the first row, the max date is Jan 2020. It is giving me the sales amount corresponding to Jan month itself. If I come to Feb 2020, the condition gives me that I want the dates less than or equal to Feb 2020, and it's going to give me the sales of all the months before Feb 2020. If I come to the third row, it's going to give me the max value as March 2020 and the sales corresponding to Jan plus Feb plus March, which is why in when we had not used the when we had not given the max value, it had just used the maximum value in the DAX and given us 1.2 billion as the sales amount across all the rows. Whereas now on each row, it is modifying what output needs to be shown. So that's how you calculate the cumulative sum in Power BI. And that's it. That's it for today. And I hope this is a bit confusing, and maybe you'll have to watch the video again and again and try to understand how this flow is working, because I have tried my best in trying to deliver it in the easiest way possible. But if there are any gaps in this particular demonstration, you can leave your feedback in the comments and I can try and help you with something that can come up as a better solution to make you understand this particular problem. So I hope you learned something new from this particular video. And in the next video, we are going to calculate the cumulative sales for a specified time period. So I would really recommend you to watch this video once or twice and thrice. And uh, if you have any doubt, you can just leave the feedback in the comments and just let me know. So this brings us to the end of this video. And thanks for watching and happy learning.